Right. Hello, InnovaCon. I'm really delighted to be back and introduce you to Tony Brescia, who's become a great colleague of mine. I dare say even friend at times. And, uh, and we're going to do a little fireside chat this time to go deeper into how the Navy is using Swarm. So Tony, if you wouldn't mind sort of having a few bars, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure, Susan. My name's Tony Brescia. I've been with the U.S. Navy for a little over 35 years, working in mainly the science and technology area throughout my career. Done everything from underwater to surface aircraft to space-based communications. It's been a real treat. And recently, I've been working on the domain lead for the aviation engineering department at NOC-AD at Pax River, Maryland. And part of that is looking at across the board for the command, what kind of innovation techniques can we use for aviation?
Wow, that's impressive. And for anyone who missed my session that was just before the break, I'll just quickly introduce myself again. I'm Suzan Briganti. I'm CEO and founder of Swarm Vision out in Silicon Valley. And you'll be hearing about how we've met and what we're doing together with the Navy. All right, so Tony, we met through Jerry Walls, who is the ambassador, the innovation ambassador for the US Navy, a great title. And then he brought me out to Las Vegas to give a talk. And can you just sort of describe what was the situation at NAVAIR and NOC-AD when we first met, and kind of what went through your mind when you first heard of Swarm, if you can go back in time?
Sure. The predecessor to the current avionics engineering department, we had embarked on approximately a 5-year developmental period to become a more innovative organization. And we had several offsites at the national level, and this included the aircraft division, the weapons division, which is located at Point Mugu in China Lake, and the Fleet Readiness Center is located at Cherry Point, Jacksonville, and North Island, California. And we focused on aspects of leadership, culture, people, and then career development. A previous meeting on innovation with Booz Allen Hamilton, we worked through various methods to solicit ideas, ideation. And then in June of 2019, building on that concept, we explored how to identify the people within the organization who were creative and innovative. And we found out about Suzan's company, Swarm Vision, and we asked if she would come to speak at our offsite. So all of the department and division leaders and other participants at the offsite all took the 20-minute survey. Our department profile was heavily weighted towards the continuous improvement, with some folks in the incremental and adjacent innovators, and there was one transformational innovator in the group. This was kind of a skewed organizational profile, but for our organization, NOC-AD, the continuous improvement is kind of where most of the work is really being done at the command. So the problem statement became how to move our organization towards becoming and then sustaining an innovative and creative culture. So I thought it would be a great idea to develop a Naval Innovation Science and Engineering, NICE, or it formerly used to be called Section 219 project, to establish an Innovation Horizon pilot project centered on the identification of Swarm Vision's 8 skills and the 26 attributes. As the Advanced Technology Strategic Initiative champion, I'd utilize the FY19 and our FY20 scientists and technologists to form the basis for that pilot project. We also have another program within the command, which is called the Innovation Challenges, which is set up for junior people to go on a 6-month exploratory problem-solving component, so I invited them along. And then we went along and asked 5 to 10 folks from each of the departments were requested to participate in this. Now, the departmental selectees were those identified by the department who were viewed as innovators. all told, we had 200 people take the Swarm Vision profile. So 50 people scoring 70% or higher, and that's in the H1 to the H3 category, were given the opportunity for an individual debrief of their results and then complete a 5-module training course. Now, each of the modules would then take about 3 to 6 hours and then to complete, and then ending with a 1-hour webinar at the end, kind of like a culmination and a discussion period of going over the results. And the modules would develop specific skills of the 8 that were mentioned previously, and then build on each, culminating in a final proposal. So as you work through the training program or the pilot module course, what you ended up with was a final project at the end. You were just building the components as you went along. And this training was designed to increase your innovation score by at least 10%, which from going from down at the H1 up to an H2 or H2 to H3 would be very beneficial to the command.
Got it. Wow. Okay. Well, it's great to hear what it's like on your side. I mean, that matches up exactly with how Swarm is supposed to be used, and so it's been great for us that you've been very strategic in how you've used the product. So, can you share any stories about the change you saw in the people as they went through the Swarm innovation training? I mean, in terms of whether the ideas or their engagement at work, or the reception on the other side to the proposals from the funding offices.
Yes, there's actually 2 aspects to that. What I'd like to talk about is first about the profile itself and how people reacted to the profile. Some were very skeptical about taking the profile. Mm-hmm. How could a profile survey that takes about 20 to 30 minutes to complete be accurate? And what's the science behind it? Because you remember, these are engineers and scientists, so they really want to understand what it is that they're getting into. After going through that, most of the people that took the profile actually agreed with the results. And some of them were like, wow, this thing really got me spot on, and I wasn't really expecting that. And so a consequence to that, as we went through with the quality and the clarity of the FY21 proposals that were submitted to, particularly in my case, to the Advanced Technology Strategic Initiative, by those that took the training, were significantly improved over prior years. They pushed the art of the possible with their content. And then the attitude and enthusiasm, coupled with their self-confidence to now explain and also work with the program offices, could be seen within each of the modules that they were going through, as well as the final product that they delivered as part of the NICE project, because they actually had gone out to the program offices to get their input and make sure that was in there. So the transformative proposals were better received by the program offices with identifying their distinct benefits and goals. And then also for the individual, they had some satisfaction that they actually were able to get something out of the training and actually able to apply it in their everyday work environment. The training also provided a forum to see where the proposals that they had submitted in the past had shortcomings and where they were originating from, and then how to overcome them. And this training identified those with commitment and determination to complete this hands-on, thought-provoking, and rigorous self-development journey, which a lot of them were not expecting when we started this back in January.
Yeah, very well said. I mean, the upside of Swarm is it really works. The downside is you have to do it in order for it to work. You have to actually go through the course. So yeah, I think those who completed it had to show some determination. It's not the kind of thing where you can sit back and just click a box here and there and then pass. It's really sort of designed in some ways to shift your brain a little bit, and so you have to do it to get the benefits. So after they completed the training, they were able to retake the profiler, if you recall, and our dashboard shows the pre and post training results. Were you surprised at all by some of those post training profiler results?
Absolutely. I was surprised on the number of folks that actually jumped from one category to the other. And then in general, just the overall score increase. So out of the folks that took that or participated in the pilot program, I think it met the original goals that we had set up, was just trying to move the 10%, which I think we actually maybe just went a little bit over the 10% in improvement. And it's definitely in the proper direction for developing at least the creative and innovation component of the career development that we were looking at. Now the next thing that we need to work on is the sustaining part, is to continue that on. And the individuals who put the time into this training were rewarded with the potential of having new ideas, and then a different group of how to go about discussing and forming those ideas. Because one of the things that we had talked about, at least initially based on our profile, was very constrained incremental steps, and taking anything that was a giant leap, trying to get the group to go there is very difficult. And now that there's a group or a core group of individuals that has the opportunity to discuss things as a team, I believe they're now able to sit down and actually benefit the command better with moving forward.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of a secondary benefit because those folks who went through the training now share a common language, and they can
Yes.
provoke each other and support each other and that kind of thing. So yeah, and the increases were greatest in disrupt, connect, and control. And that, I think, really explains the difference in the benefits that you're talking about, because the disrupt is really where you get boundary breaking ideas. That's where you start to getting transformational ideas. And then the connect is where they were able to go out, talk to various stakeholders in the program offices and elsewhere, so that they're able to bring their proposals, had a lot of rich stakeholder insight in them, and they're able to actually empathize with the warfighter and different people who might be involved in using your technology. And then the control piece, that went up significantly. And I think that was because they were introduced to sort of business model design and the idea that, hey, there's a lot of different ways you can skin this cat. You can do this technology all yourself. You can, outsource it all. There's all these other ways of partnering. And so it was kind of cool that those were the three biggest growth areas. And we also saw that in the proposals. So where do you see the Navy or the US government or the military at large potentially taking this methodology? Any ideas on that?
Well, from my perspective, swarm vision, the profiler, the whole concept that that we worked on in this pilot project, it's a very powerful tool. And I could see it being used for hiring, for job suitability, for the type of work that we're looking at. And then the one that I kind of mentioned previously was the team formation perspective. And I just like to use the team formations, as an example. Currently, the way that most teams are formed today are based on the individual's knowledge, subject matter expert in a particular area. And then the other part is who's available. And their innovative potential may hinder the development or the solution set that's actually being looked at. Like you mentioned, with the various 8 skill sets that are involved, is that if you want somebody to go out to solicit information from the warfighter or from the program offices, and that is not one of their strong skills, they're going to have a very difficult time interacting with people or saying, okay, I got enough and I'm just going to walk away. Whereas somebody that's really into the communication sector, that's the individual that you want to put on that task. So having that team formation, having it balanced between the 8, I believe, and that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at as we move forward as a department, is how do we put together those teams and actually have them solve problems that we have, not just having the way that we always do it, because as I mentioned, most of the people that were in the group were in the continuous improvement. And if you're looking for a disruptive or a solution set that's outside of the norm, they're going to have a very difficult time getting it. They will eventually get there, but the time horizon might be very, very long. And then using that, the team could be constructed with those attributes, and then the whole team would be operating on all cylinders. And I think that's very important because particularly now in this telework status that we're working in, people are isolated. You only can communicate, with your telephone or, email. Some people write really well, some people don't write really well, and you don't really have that interaction. But if you have somebody in that's consensus group building type thing where they feel comfortable in the environment, that's one of the things that we were talking about trying to develop, is that now when you're on the Skype or Zoom or whatever the communication skills that you're using, some people are more vocal now because they're in their confines of their own home, and they're not in the conference room, and it's just a dot or it's just a voice on the thing, so they have the ability to be heard. And I think that's one of the things that we're looking at, and we need to develop our scientists and technologists who are innovators to get the transformational concepts, to develop them, and then transition them to the warfighter. And I believe that's what this pilot program, at least initially, demonstrated, and I would like to have it continue in the command.
Fantastic. Well, actually, on that note, we had a chance to interview a few of the people who went through the program, and we have a short video that we'll play, which puts it really in their language of what they experienced. So we'll play that. And I think for us, it's just been a career high working with you guys. And I think we sort of discovered a real sweet spot for Swarm where it's applicable to so many other industries, because companies have been in some ways going after innovation through hiring scientists and technologists on the belief that that was going to produce innovation. But what we find in R&D departments, and you call it S&T, but it's essentially R&D, is usually the deeply scientific and technical people don't have the training in relating to diverse stakeholders and in team building and in navigating a complex organization and all that stuff that goes as part of Connect. And they don't have the exposure to business and business models and money. And it's not, at the end of the day, going to be enough just to understand the technology, right? So I think sort of taking scientists and technologists and turning them into innovators, meaning people who can get bigger stuff out into the market faster, that's really seems to be the sweet spot here. So we'll play the video and then come back with some wrap up little thoughts.
My name is Jerry Tribble. I am a physicist, PhD. I've been working for the Navy for about 20 years. So I work in the area of warning systems and countermeasures.
I work in S&T supporting the CTO office for NOC-AD. So I work with the APEOs and taking a look at various technologies, of which the primary focus right now is quantum technologies.
My name's Calvin Fawcett. I'm at the Naval Air Warfare Center Air Division at Pax River, Maryland.
You had a passion, people, pain index in there that was really useful, not only in sort of opening our thinking on how to rate a problem and its solution, an opportunity. Those three factors, you had this nice little numerical scale, and I thought it was great. It really helps weigh all three of those things.
What haven't I valued? The fact is, I still discover benefits from the course even now. To me, swarm training is not just a toolkit of S&T practices, but it's also the seed of an effective, innovative culture for my team. While we've looked at various stakeholders before in IPTs, we never made that a cyclical, repetitive process. And that's been the big change. And when we presented the results to my ONR sponsor, they really liked the result.
I did not understand this other world of the stakeholder and talking stakeholder talk and the business, like actually connecting. You can have a great idea, but it's got to have a business model that makes sense, you know.
The exercise in constructing and giving the pitch, I actually use now. And nobody has caught on that that's a Silicon Valley pitch, but they know they really like it. The bottom line is my team communicates better. My ONR sponsor likes it, and our risk mitigation strategy is better because of it.
Out of that round of 3 proposals from me, 2 have survived. And, all 3, I felt like, just the prototyping piece, we have to come up with one little figure. I felt that was better on all 3 cases. By comparison, last year, I also had put in 3 to this same venue, and all 3 were rejected pretty much out of hand. So I think it's absolutely essential, mind-opening training, and good for all of us. And would like to see more of our different, disciplines involved at the same time to really open our minds.
I have a strong background in a variety of innovation cultures, including Lockheed Skunk Works, Boeing Phantom Works, the Intel community. And I thought, well, why would I need a course on innovation? But into the second module, I realized that relatively I knew nothing, and I had much to learn. For me, my teams and the people I work with, many of them are under 5 years of experience. If they had this course at that time, it would really enhance their career. I would think it would accelerate it by another 5 to 10 years, just because it has so many insights into it that I had to work through for years to come up with. And even then, as I alluded to before, I still needed the course.
So for us, just hearing those stories was really, very gratifying because, as a startup, I wouldn't say we're a startup now, but, it takes a few years to get out of startup mode, and we're out of that, and, very solid business. But when the first few years, you're just building, and you're getting small groups of people to use the product. And for us to be working with the US military is personally very gratifying because I'm a big patriot, but also hearing those stories was really, really rewarding for the company. I think we're kind of out of time at this point, and I believe that there are some breakout sessions, and I'm not quite sure how they work, but I think, find Tony or me in a breakout room if you have questions. And I believe you'll also be able to reach us through email or just grab a hold of some of the conference organizers if you aren't quite sure how to reach us. But Tony, thank you so much for joining. It's always great to hear how your mind works. It's kind of like always really cool. So, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it. And like Susan said, anytime that you want to reach out and have a, either email or phone call, I'd be fine to discuss how we're doing and how we progress as we move forward. Thank you.
Awesome.